Okay, Masechet Bava Kama, Masechet Bava Kama. We are in the second page, Beis Amud Beis, and the place where we're in is Tonu Abonon. You count 4 lines from the top of the page. That's right. Taf Reish, Tonu Abonon. But we always have 5 minutes of summary before we start the actual shiur. So let's summarize what we've done last week, the first page. And we spoke about the 4 fathers of Nezikim, the 4 prototypes of Nezikim. What are they? It's a bit hard to tell because really there are more than 4. But if we go by the simple reading, Sho, we have Sho, which is a bull, an animal that causes Nezek. Bo is a stationary thing in the ground or above the ground that's in Reshus HaRabim, the public domain, and someone bumped into it and was injured or died. I'm talking very general. Every syllable I say has tons of information that will follow in Hashem later. And Bo, Mav'e is a man, a person who's mazik, and Hever is fire. Fire is anything that actually, a nezek that's combined with an external force that makes it move. Just like the fire moved by the wind, let's say you have some kind of object on the roof you left, and then wind plus gravity made it fall on someone's head, ouch, and then something nasty happened. That's a tolda, that's like a derivative, that's like a child of that prototype. So we spoke about Sho, Bo, Ma, Ve'hever. Today we're going to focus on Sho. Sho itself has 3 different avos. V'shir Lilul Nishmas Ovimer Menachem Ben Akiva and Lilul Nishmas Shmuel Ben Pinchas Sapel, the father of our esteemed friend Mati Sapel. So we spoke about Ovis and Toldos in the previous Amud. What was that about? Remember, we said sometimes Ovis and Toldos are alike, sometimes they're not. When do we say that Ovis and Toldos have the same halachas, have the same level of gravity, of seriousness? When is it? In which area of halacha? Shabbos! And the winner is Shlomo Ayokar. Shabbos. If somebody breaks an av or a tolda, whether you plowed the field or you cleaned the field from stones, it's the same level, it's the same chorus, the same chatos, the same skilla, the same everything, right? Because av and tolda, why they called av and tolda was a machlokes, Tanakamen and Rabbi Lezer, but Lemais it's the same level. What about av and tolda when it comes to time, atim dikazach, when you have tuma? And the tuma is it the same level? If someone touched a dead man, so he has a certain level of tuma, he's avatuma, very nice. And let's say he touched someone else, then he's rishon tuma. Who cares whether it's ava rishon? What's the difference? Whether it's an ava rishon, whether it's metame, odom, and kalim. In other words, if you touch the mace, you're a Chevra Kadisha guy, you touch the mace, you have the ability, the power to be metame other people and vessels. But the one who touched you, who's one level below in the hierarchy, can only be metame food and drinks, the food and drink department, but not another person or a kli. Okay? So now the Gemara is in a question. What do we say? When it comes to Ovis Nezikin, and we know that our fathers must be our toldus. When we say someone was a father, mashma there's a son, right? The father, the son, and the So then what do we say? So then listen, I'm trying to get more people to view us on YouTube, that will get a lot of people. So then the father and the son, are they the same or not? When it comes to Nezikin, do we say that the father and the son are the same? Do we say that the tolda of Shen is like Shen, or maybe it's less grave? And that's exactly the question which we're going to discover. Rav Papa says some of them are like the father and some are not. And we just now finished the summary of the previous year, and we're ready to start on Rabbanon, but first we have a round of questions and commercials. Tonu Rabbanon, we're starting. Gimel Avos Nemru B'Sho. There are 3 fathers, Shlosh Avos. We don't mean Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, no. 3 Avos were said regarding Sho. A Keren, V'Ashen, V'Aregel. You guys got to know this by heart. A Keren says Rashi Lingoach. Keren is the horn, and it means goring. Ashen is a tooth, and says Rashi lechol, to eat. The regel is drisa, trample, to step over, lishboas kelim, to break kelim, break vessels as she walks along. Each one will be elaborated. This whole chart that you have is a result of learning the future sugyas as well. Everything will be slowly, nice and slow. We'll discover each and every Av Tolda. Let's start Be'ezras Hashem with Keren. Frag the Gemara Keren Minolan. How do you know that the Torah is mechayev me if my show is such a nice bull, so friendly and nice, and one day this show is Keren. All of a sudden it started goring. How do you know that I'm chayev? The Tonu Rabbanon. Soon we'll have to open the Chumash in Parshas Mishpatim. You can actually do it now if you want. Yeah, in Parshas Mishpatim, I actually also need the Chumash. Can you bring me one, please? Because Perek Aleph, Pasuk Chavches, 21-28. I'm pausing. I'm stopping the shiur before it even started because it's important that we at least give a sort of have a glance at the psukim. The Torah says, "V'chi gachsho es isha." If a bull gores a man or a woman, please let's not go into details now. That's just a very general reading of the pasuk. What we have to know right now: someone's bull gored someone to death. The shore has to die. You have to actually stone the shore. Remember the Gemara in Sanhedrin, the Mishnah, you make a basin of 23 people, according to one. Treat him like a person. You don't need the flesh, it's a trade for shore because it's supposed to be niskal. The Baal Shor does not have to pay. You kill the shore but doesn't have to pay because he's a shor tam. What's a shor tam? That one? He's a gentle, innocent shor. It's the first time he did it, second time he did it. Give him a chance. You know, I didn't expect my little cutesy bulldozer monster of a show to do such a thing. To gore my show? No, he's behaved. He went to the best yeshiva. So because it's first and second time, we only kill him, but we don't ask the Baal, the owner, to pay. He just, so you kill the show. But if he has bad history, Tmol Shilsham, let's say he gored already twice or three times, the Bible was warned. By the show mu'ad means warned. The person was warned once, twice, the owner, and he did not guard him, didn't guard him well enough. Then he killed someone, a shol is sokel, then you kill the shol, you must, and the owner too has to die. Doesn't mean that you kill the owner, it means that he has to pay. You kill him financially. He has to pay. It's all mechlokesim. Every word I say is tons of mechlokesim later on. Does he have to pay like the value of the nizoik or the mazik? I'm not talking about that now. We're skipping now. If it's a slave, then it's only 30. Bekitzer, now let's skip to Pasuk Lamed Hey. Pasuk Lamed Hey. So the first psukim we're about to show that gores a persona, a person, a man or woman. Lamed Hey. Skip a few psukim, go down to Pasuk Lamed Hey, 35. V'chi goif, different word. V'chi goif. If it shows nogef, not nogeach. Nogef, what does nogef mean? We'll learn that later. V'chi gof shol ish shore ehu. Let's say he is now the show. Different show, has now issues with a different show. Yeah, he now gored another animal, another bull, and he died. You split the money. He pays half. We're going to details later. The tam has to pay half. Let's say the show that he gored was worth 5,000 shekels. He has to pay the bailim 2,500, which is half of 5,000. But if he has bad history, he's already known to be a bad boy, he has a record in the police, already 2-3 times, and the Bailam were still a Kedezakol, and don't tell me, I didn't know. Well, you knew, you did it already a few times. Then he has to pay in full. I'm on purpose not saying all the details because it's each word here is like a sugya. The kids got it. The Torah talks twice about a show that gores. First time about goring the person, and then he has to die, and the payment is only b'show muad. And the second time, we talk about a show that's nogeach another animal, another bull, could be a dog, could be a cat, I don't know, a mouse, whatever he wants to do. And then he has to pay half, and after 2 or 3 times, he has to pay in full. But nobody dies. You don't kill him. That is a very, very, very basic Chumash knowledge for show nogach. You can keep it open if you want. Let's continue now. Let's restart. There are 3 ovois nezikin, all derivatives of show. Yeah? Keren minolan. How do we know that the Keren you're chayav on? The Tonu abonon. Ki yigach. It says in the Torah the word yigach. He gores. Says the Gemara, the Braisa, ein negicha ela bekeren. Negicha is only with a horn. And that seems to be something we don't know why, that the Gemara doesn't know what's the source for. In other words, we need to find a source that negicha, meaning goring, is only done by Keren, by horn. And the Gemara is going to bring now, the Bryce is going to bring sources for that from the Torah. The question is, why do we need sources? It's just a dictionary definition. Every child knows, if his language is rich enough, that goring is with a horn. But still the Gemara requires to have sources for that. Shenema, we'll explain soon how. V'yas l'tzidkia ben Knano, all of a sudden the Gemara brings us a scene from Elohim. It says over there, soon I'll explain the whole story. Tzidkia ben Knano was a Novi Sheker, was a false prophet, Novi Baal, and he, you know what did he do? He did a show and tell to Achav. He took Harnei Barzel, he took horns, fake horns, artificial horns made out of iron. And he said, with these horns, you're going to tenageach. What's tenageach? Tenageach, you're going to gore Aram. Well, the story in short is as follows. I know people like it when I go into the Novi, so I'll go into the Novi a little bit. The king Achav, our good old friend Achav, Achav and his wife, even better than him, Izebel. So what happened to them? Achav felt that Aram were like Syria today. They were an arch enemy of Israel. And Achav said, you know, the previous battle Aram won 3 years ago, 3 years prior to the story. And Achav said, it's not fair that Aram hold our lands. You know, they have the land, they occupy the territories. We have to reclaim our territory. So he asked Yehoshaphat Melech Yehuda, was a tzaddik, was a good man. He asked Yehoshaphat, let's go to war together. So Yehoshaphat said, that sounds like a very good idea. But like a good fruit Jew, he said, I want to ask my rabbi, I want to ask Das Tere. So the Das Tere was who? A Novi. He said, let's ask a Novi. So what happens when you speak to some kind of people and you ask them, you know, is the rabbi okay with that? So the other person, Achav style, would say, sure, she's okay with that. My rabbi said it's fine, you know. She's absolutely fine with driving on Shabbos with my Goyish wife. Yeah, sure, the rabbi. I also have a rabbi, you know, she's very nice. So the old version of that was, Achav said, sure, I have 400 Nevi'im. 400 Nevi'im all said exactly the same thing. They all said, sure, go for it. Give me Aleph, give me Ches, give me Aleph, cheerleaders. They're all for the whole idea. The Gemara Sanhedrin said, that's why we know that they were false, because they all said exactly the same thing. If two Nevi'im say exactly the same text, you know that they're lying. Because Ein Shnei Nevi'im is not in Mesigna in Echad, same style. In any event, Tzidkia ben Knana, he went to the front of the stage, you know, in front of all the other 399, and he made the whole show thing, a whole zach, a whole show, and he took these two horns, and he told Achav, with these horns, with these iron horns, you're going to go around, yeah, and you'll win, and you'll be number one. But then Yehoshaphat brought another Novi called Michiel, just one misken, yeah, very frum-looking man, and he was a Novi who said, no, you're going to die. You're not going to be successful. And because he said you're not going to be successful, they put him in jail, of course, because he didn't say what the king wanted him to say. They told him in advance, before he went on stage, they told him, say something nice, be nice to the king, say the good things, but he refused, he said the truth. And really, who died at that war? Like Yehoshaphat said, like Michiel said, Achav himself died, and who killed him? Naaman, by mistake, actually. Naaman didn't even know that he was the king. So, Bekitzer, that was the end of Achav. So, all we care about, one second, regarding this scene is, this scenario, is the fact that Tzidkia ben Knana, the false guy, the bad guy, he said, with these horns, tenagach es Aram. So we see the word lenagach and the word Keren are the same. So we know that when Mishnah says Keren, we know it means negicha. We know negicha is Keren and Keren is negicha. Yeah, and when it says in the Torah negicha, it means using the horn and not using something else. I still don't know what's the chiddush, and I'm keeping my question for later. There are a few answers. Give me 1 minute. Now, and then it continues and says, if and here there's another pasuk, another source to tell me that nagach means with a horn. This is now Moshe Rabbeinu talks about the children of Yosef, praising Yosef. Yosef is like a bull. It's his beauty. He is a b'chol, he's the firstborn of the bull, and he's beautiful. The karnei re'em karnav, and his horns are like the re'em, or like another animal called re'em. He will gore the nations with it. Oh, so again we see juxtaposition between nagach and what? And Keren. So see, Keren means something that's nageach. Keren means to gore. So when the Torah tells me in Pashas Mishpatim with the Chumoshim open in front of us, it says nagach, it means with a horn, doesn't mean with a tooth, doesn't mean something else. If you have a quick question, I prefer no questions now. It's quick and yeah, no, quick. No? Why does the Gemara now has a question? Why do you need an extra pasuk? Why did you bring me two psukim? One pasuk is from Tzidkei ben Kanana, and the other pasuk is from Moshe Rabbeinu praising Yosef. But at the end of the day, both psukim tell me a dictionary definition of what? Of nagach, gore, means not Al Gore. Remember Al Gore? It's not him. No? The goring, you don't know. You don't know? Good. You don't. Yeah. The kids are, so goring means the with a horn. Okay? But why do you need two psukim? Why do you need two psukim for that? I got you already. I need one pasuk and one's enough. The Gemara doesn't like to use extra words. Answers the Gemara. V'chi tema, because you would have told me, divrei Torah and divrei Kabbalah lo yalfina. Very, very important yesod, which I told you about 5,000 times. We don't learn halacha from Novi. Divrei Kabbalah, Nevim Uksuvim, the Novi is very, very holy. Every single syllable is from Hashem, all holy, all inspirational, and sometimes you learn halacha, but usually you don't. The general rule is you don't learn halacha from Novi. People, sometimes, unfortunately, there are speakers who use people's Meratzishkeit, and they tell you all pasuk in the Novi, and they say that's halacha shtiyot. When the Novi says that, it doesn't mean it's halacha. Not everything in the Novi is supposed to be halacha. And therefore, the Gemara says, the first pasuk is talking about some idiot, Tzidkei ben Kanana. He used what? The horns, and he said, you're going to be Menagach Aram. Fine, very nice. But that's a Novi. You know, even if he was Yirmiyahu, still a Navi. We're not learning halacha from Navi. That's why Toshma, you need a second pasuk, B'chol Shor Hadar Loi, and really now we're learning from the Torah. The pasuk about Moshe is not from the Nach, it's from the Torah itself. It's from the end of the Torah, V'zas HaBracha. And over there, we can learn halachas from the Chumash. Chumash is definitely, yes, a source for halacha. Okay, let's hear your question now. Yep. Good. Answers the Gemara. Toshma, frag the Gemara, is that what's bothering you? You're saying because it's not, line starts with the word V'hai Melaf. V'hai Melaf. Is it bothering you that we're learning something from the Novi, halacha from the Novi? It's not halacha. V'hai Melafu? Melaf means to learn, like the Aleph. Melafu, is that called teaching? I'm not learning any halacha from there. Gilu Milsa Be'almahu. It's telling me a Gilui Milsa, which means, in our case, dictionary definition, that Negicha means Keren, which means, all we know, we open the Pasuk now, all of us, right? The Chumash, we see the word Nogach. We don't know what's Nogach. What does Nogach mean? Nogach means with a foot, Nogach means dancing around. All we know from the Novi is a dictionary definition. We're not learning the halacha from the Novi. With the halacha is from the Torah. The Torah says Nogach. You click on the link. You know, there are such programs. You click and you see the word. You know the translation of the word. Nogach. Very nice. Nogach means Keren. How do you know that? From where? From the Novi. That's all. I'm not learning the halacha from the Novi. Ella. So still the question is, why did we need two psukim to tell me the same thing? Novi is not an issue here. So I needed an extra pasuk. The first pasuk would be very nice. Use the pasuk of Nogach, of Aram, very nice. And that will tell you the dictionary definition of Nogach is horn, and that's all. That goring is with a horn. I'm not learning halach from there. So just use this pasuk. Ella, says the Gemara. Therefore, we have a whole different understanding now. And now we're going to, by the way, before we continue, I want to tell you something very nice, which I saw in the Parish yesterday. I think Tiferes Shmuel, one of the Achronim, is asking, we are only debating regarding the Pasuk of the Novi. Why do we need it? But the question, why do we need the extra Pasuk of the Torah? Why isn't it enough to have the Pasuk of the Novi with Tzidkei ben Kanana with the iron horns? I should think the question should be the other way. Why can't we just use the pasuk of the Torah and finish this whole agony? Just use the pasuk of Moshe Rabbeinu, speaking to Yosef, that his horns are beautiful and goring, yeah, and that gorgeous and goring, yeah, that's it. And don't tell me the pasuk of the Novi. So Tiferes Shmuel says a very, very shticky word. He says a very shticky thing. He says, "Vaker." We bring the pasuk of the Novi at this stage of the war. His answer is right. We bring the pasuk of the Novi and then the pasuk of the Torah to tell you that you can't learn from the Novi. We dafka mentioned the source from the Novi, and then we still need another source that is kilo degrading the source from the Novi, right? You ask one Rov, and then you tell the Rov, I need to hear another opinion. It's a big chutzpah. Yeah, why? It means you're not good enough, Rabbi. I need to hear it from another Rabbi. That means the other one's greater, right? That's exactly what the Gemara wants to do. The Gemara wants to make sure that we don't learn from the Novi. That's true at this stage, okay? So now, but still the question is, why, yeah, Ella, Maudetema. But in any event, what's bothering you regarding the Novi, it's not telling you halacha, it's just telling you a fact, the dictionary definition. Answers the Gemara. Maudetema, I would have said, Kipolig, now we're getting to a much, much deeper level here, much clearer. Maudetema, I would have said, had they only learned the pasuk from the Novi, I would have said, I would have thought, Ki polig l'chmono bein tam lemuad, what's polig? When the Torah differentiates between tam and muad, what's the difference between tam and muad? What? A number? And number of kesef, money, and geld. In other words, half payment or full payment. I would have said the only difference between tam and muad, which, by the way, if you look at your charts, is the only exception to the rule, the only leniency regarding Keren, right? Keren's leniency is what? The fact that you only pay half the first two times. I would have said that aspect of Keren, now it's much deeper, Hanimili betlusha. I would have said like that. Listen to this. When Tzidkei ben Knana took the horns, was Tzidkei ben Knana a bull? Was he a rhinoceros? No, he was a person. He held two fake horns in his hands, and he did a whole show. If I only learned that as a source from the Novi, I would have thought, you know what? Maybe if the animal, that's unbelievable, Rashi says that, if my shor took a horn in his mouth, and gored with it, he took a horn of another animal, or fake horn in his mouth, and started goring in his mouth, through his mouth. I would have said, that's so crazy, so out of line, so nicht normal, that would be chetzi nezik. I would have said, that is so unexpected and so out of line, that is so crazy, then in the first two times of this nutty behavior, I only have to pay half as the owner. Aval b'mechuberes, I'm continuing the Gemara. But if he gored regular with a horn connected to his head, Ema, I would have said, Kula muedesi. I would have said, it's all muedes. Right from the beginning, that's normal enough. You don't know about a shore that gores. A shore that's quite normal. Not very normal, but it's not so crazy. And I would have thought maybe that's called muedes from the first time. Because my source would be Tzidkei ben Knana. If I would have learned Tzidkei ben Knana, that he held the horns in his hand and did crazy stuff, Mimela would have thought, what? Now, by the way, okay, I would have thought, what? That the Keren of the Torah that is so forgiving is only if the shor held it in its mouth or in his hand, the monkey, I don't know, yeah? But if the shor gores normally, maybe that's called normal enough to be mu'ad from the first time, to pay full payment for the first time. It's not so crazy. Toshma, that's why we need another pasuk, b'chol shor adaloi. That's why we need another pasuk to tell me, b'chol shor adaloi. The Torah says, no, but karnei re'em are natural karnaim. So you see when the Torah says nogach, it means nogach with natural, normal horns, and you still pay half an ezek. Why am I so happy and excited? Because now we can also understand the question of the Gemara in a much better way. When the Gemara asks the question, what's Nogach Keren? Usually the Gemara is not looking for a translation of Hebrew words. The Gemara is not art scroll writing, for the Anglo of 2021. The Gemara usually knows what the Hebrew words mean. I was wondering, what's the Gemara's problem? What's Nogach Sho? Now we understand. The question wasn't just a dictionary definition. The question was halachic. What kind of Keren is called halachic Keren, which means to give up on half at the beginning? That's a question of the Gemara in depth. The Gemara is wondering what kind of behavior is considered to be abnormal at the beginning, and then his character develops and he becomes crazy and becomes like addicted to it and then becomes normal. That's Keren if he gores naturally with his horns. That's the answer of the Gemara. And for that you need two psukim. Pasuk number 1 is a pasuk that tells me that if he does it in a crazy way with his mouth, like Tzidkei ben Knana, and then the Gemara quickly adds in, no, even if he gored normally, so to speak, he went crazy and gored Azoi, I can't show too much, with his horns in his head naturally, there too, that's called crazy enough and strange enough to be considered as Keren and not pay full, but pay only half. That's the depth of the whole mice over here. Okay? Says the Gemara now, and soon we're going to see more. By the way, you may ask, why is the Gemara going now into this whole story of Keren and all that? The Gemara has to find out which, we're still in search, we're still searching and Googling over here, what's considered a Tolda that's like the father, and which Tolda is not like the father. Meaning some Toldas of the fathers have the same severity and some are not. Really, 99% are like the father. But we're still searching. So now we're looking for Toldas. We're looking now for the Toldas. Here Toldas. We're not in Parshas Toldas, but here's Toldas. The line starts with the word Shoyroi. Shoradaloi. Zog the Gemara, Tolda the Keren Mai. He says the Bryce, what's the Tolda of Keren? Negifa. Negifa is pushing. Remember Ki Yigoif? I showed you, right? In the second pasuk, it says Ki Yigoif. Negifa is pushing, he pushes with his body. Neshicha, biting. Revitza is crouching on purpose. It chooses its location, dafka, when there's nice kalim over there, and he decides to crouch, boom, right there and then on purpose, in order to crouch on the kalim and break them. Ubeita, kicking. So all these misbehaviors, sounds like cheder children, kita aleph, yeah, bechitzer, yeah, that's all kinds of, kicking, biting. That's all these behaviors are considered as the byproducts, as derivatives of the Av called Negicha. Now the Gemara is asking the question, now you'll appreciate the psukim that you've just seen. Frag the Gemara, Maishna Negicha dekari le'av. Why is Negicha, out of all 5 different actions that we have here, the kicking and the biting and the pushing and the thing and the crouching, Maishna Negicha dekari le'av, why is Negicha chosen out of all of them to be called the Av, the father of all them? Because it says in the Torah, Ki Yigach. We always know that the one mentioned in the Torah or in the Mishkan or whatever, they're the Av. Okay, it says Ki Yigach. Frag the Gemara, hey, wait a second, excuse me. Negifa nami ksiv Ki Yigoif. Negifa, remember the second pasuk? Let's read it again. It says in the Torah, it says in pasuk Lamed Hey, V'chi Yigoif Lamed Hey, Chaf Aleph Lamed Hey, V'chi Yigoif Shoil Ish Es Shor Re'ehu V'meis. Yeah, the show gored his friend, the other bull, yeah, and he died. Hey, I said Yigoif, I didn't know it's goring. I'm brainwashed by the religious system. V'chi Yigoif, it says Yigoif. Yigoif means pushing. I'm not sure what's happening over here. So the Gemara is asking, why are you choosing Yigach as a father? Because in Pasuk Chaf Ches, speaking about goring human beings, it says Yigach. Hey, wait a second. When it talks about the show goring its friend, the other bull, what do we say? We says Ki Yigoif. He pushes, so maybe pushing is also an Av. They're both mentioned in a Torah, in the Bible. So why is Yigach a father and Yigoif is playing second fiddle? Yigoif lives matter. We fight for the rights of Yigoif. Why is Negifa not considered enough? I want to get answers now. I'm the lawyer of Negifa. Why doesn't Negifa get the status of a father? Tell me. Says the Gemara, don't get so excited. Zog the Gemara in answer, Hi, Negifa, Negicha hi. This Negifa is really a Negicha. This pushing is really a Negicha. This pushing really means goring. And you know why? I'm not just telling you stories.
Push when you go.
We'll discuss that soon. There are the 2 types of goring. 1 second. The Tanya, it says in the Brisa, look carefully in the Pasuk again. Pasuk benegifa v'siyam benegicha. Look at Pasuk Lamedhei. It says in Lamedhei, v'chi yigoif shorish. I told you to leave the Chumash open. V'chi yigoif shorish shorei over mace. The show yigoif, whatever that means. And then later, next pasuk continuing the same storyline. Pasuk lamidvav, oy noida, if it's known kisho nagach, if he's known to be a nogeach mitmol shilshom, then he has to pay in full. That doesn't make sense. It starts with negifa, and the same story finishes off with negicha. So anyway, there's a mix-up over there in the psukim. Must be that really this negifa is a form of negicha, which is goring. Loimer lecho. I'm continuing the Gemara now, and soon we'll get to your point, Ellen. Zuhi negifa, zuhi negicha. Negifa and negicha are one and the same. So now let me tell you what Rashi says later on, Ellen. There are two types of negicha, of goring. I've never seen a bullfight in my life, Baruch Hashem. I've been twice to the place where they do the bullfighting, but I've never seen the actual bullfighting, just a museum. No, it's a very cruel thing, and it's against halacha. In any event, so there are two types of goring. One type of goring is when he pushes with his horns, and that's yigoif. Regarding the animal, it says ki yigof yigach, it means with the horns. It means it goes and it pushes with his horns until the animal dies. Maybe eventually also, pricks, but Lamais, it's mainly about pushing. The one of Yigach, which is pure Yigach, mentioned by the human being at the first pasuk, that Yigach means mamish, going straight and just, sticking his horns into the flesh of the person. Yeah, without pushing like that. It's boom rather than boom like that. Okay, I wish I had a bigger screen. Okay, maybe I should get dressed up like a short next time. In any event, that's a story. But Lemaisa, they're both the same. They're both called negicha with the horns. They're both called the same thing. I'll tell you now something even more beautiful. Now also, we're going to see, maybe I'm jumping the gun a bit, but this is too delicious to not say. Remember what we said not a while ago, at the beginning of the shiur? The Gemara has this whole issue. How do you know negicha is with a horn, negicha, horn? It's dictionary definition. How do you know the earth means earth? The Gemara doesn't ask these questions, right? We gave an answer. I'll give you a better answer based on Rashi. Rashi says, this pasuk seems to be like a schizophrenia. This pasuk is telling me negicha, negifa, right? How do you know to reconcile the contradiction between negicha and negifa that both really means negicha with the horns? Maybe not. Maybe the both means negifa with the body. Maybe the both means pushing, elbowing with the body. Yeah, how do you know? In other words, we have a dichotomy over here with not dichotomy. We have a contradiction. Black, white. Who's going to win? Both should be black or both should be white. How do we turn the cards? Says Rashi, very good. One of them is anchored in the Torah that negicha has to be with the horns. Negifa is just our own little Batish knowledge. We open the Hebrew dictionary, negifa, Anglo, you just moved to Israel, you use the dictionary, negifa, pushing, yofi. It's not really a halachic source. Mimela, when we have a question, negifa, negicha, do both of them mean pushing with the body, or do both of them mean with the horns? Must be it's the horns, because that we had a source for. Aren't you dancing? Beautiful. Now we have the whole thing. That's a word. Because when we have negifa and negicha business, we have one good, anchored, clear, established word here, which has two sources with the whole zach, and that is negicha is horns. Now negifa, with this, arm wrestling, negifa has to give in, and negifa has to be with the horns. Not the other way. No questions now. I'm sorry. Soon will be a round of questions. Okay, Zoy Negifa, Zoy Negicha. Now we're going to a new thing, but soon I'll get back to you. We're on the go. My Shno. Now the question still: why did the Torah change its wording? Okay, it's all the same or similar, but why changing the case? My Shno Gabe Odom. Odom. The line starts with the word Odom. What's the difference between Odom dichtiv ki igach or my Shna Gabe Bema dichtiv ki igoif? Still. Why did the Torah choose those words? Why this choice of words? This is not a newspaper here. It's a Torah of Hashem. Why did the Torah write over here? By a person, it says Negicha, which is more violent and more, focused. While by the animal, it says that he died, the other animal died, by Yigoif, which is just pushing with the horns and eventually hitting. Yeah, why is that? Why the change of scenery, change of case? Answers the Gemara. Adam the Isle Mazla. A person has mazal. Don't tell me the word luck because it's wrong. A person has good fortune from Shemaim. A person has heavenly protection more than an animal. Hashem is mashgiach over people more than Mazla. Rashi says in Maseches Shabbos, he is malach. A person has angels guarding him. Babies for sure have it, and toddlers. A person has mazal. A person has a malach who guards him, and therefore a person is less susceptible to be hurt. than another animal. Ktiv ki igach, by a man or a woman or a child, they are less prone to be attacked by the animal. The animal is not so courageous to start against the person rather than another animal. Therefore, because the person has more protection, more mazel, he knows how to look after himself. Therefore, in order to kill a person, the behema has to do something really violent to really gore it and push in and like prick it with his horns. But behema the leis lemazla, the fellow behema doesn't have such good mazel, heavenly protection. Ksiv ki goif. So, but the other animal says ki goif, which means pushing with the horns, which is not so hard. In other words, it's more easily, it's easier to kill the other animal, even by doing something less violent, just pushing with the horns like this, and therefore it says a change of words. Ma'ich patli, well, all very nice, but this is, okay, that's an ashkafik idea. Who cares la halacha? And I appreciate your patience. And says the Gemara, "Milsa agavuche kamash malan." Agavuche. By the way, we are learning now a choshev halacha, and this is very, very nogea soon. Kamash malan. The muad leodom havi muad lebehema. Muad lebehema lavi muad leodom. Full stop. Which means, thank you for your patience, but we still need a small introduction. Let me ask you a question. Let's say you have, in Spanish they say every crazy has his craze. People have different mishigasen, you know, if one is mishugan in one way, it doesn't mean mishugan in the other way. Let me ask you a question. Let's say you have a show that has, he really, really doesn't like cats. His name is Akiva Teichtal. Yeah. Let's say whenever he sees a cat, goes crazy, starts goring the cat, and he chases after the cats. He sees dogs, he sees rabbits, he sees other shvarim, very civil, very nice. He says to these fellow shore, good morning, good morning. Yeah, it's all very nice and all this, all very nice, but cats, mashigana, he kills them all the time. One sunny day, the show all of a sudden killed a dog. He killed a dog unexpectedly. The owner of the dog comes to the Baal HaShow and says, Mister, you have to pay me in full. You know that your shore is a nasty show. He's a muad. He killed cats 10 times. I don't know how you get by, but he killed cats 10 times already. Now he killed my dog, pay me in full. And the other person says, no, he's only muad for cats. The cats, I know, I'm careful regarding cats. Whenever there's a cat, I hold him. I make sure there's no cats. I write next to the stable, next to the cow shed, no cats allowed. But dogs, I never knew he's into dogs. That's a whole new thing. So regarding dogs, he's a tam. I'll only pay you half. Who's right? How much did you pay? The owner of the show, only half. Muad lechamo, let's say, is not muad l'show. Says the Gemara here, muad le'odom havi muad le'behema. Wow. If he's a person, not a person, if he is a show that killed people 3 times, yeah, or let's say he gored them 3 times and injured them, then he's muad le'behema. If he's so audacious, he's so courageous to go against a human being, we assume that for him to gore another show would be like, you know, kleine geld, for sure. Muad lebehema, lo avi muad leodom. But a show that did 3 times animals doesn't mean that he'd be courageous enough or able enough to kill a human being. You can still ask a question about his tendencies, that's a different question. But lemaisa mitzad the ability, a person is harder to kill than an animal, and it has a halachic ramification, and you've been very patient. Now it's Baruch and then Ellen, or Ellen then Baruch. Yeah, let's go. You can ask your question now. Okay, I'm recorded. Ooh. Now. Okay, Nishicha. The Gemara is now exploring and asking. The line starts with the word la'odom. La'odom is towards the end of the page. A few lines. Line starts with the word la'odom. In fact, the Gemara, Nishicha, one of the toldus of Negicha is Nishicha, is biting. Why? Tolda the sheni. Why isn't it a tolda of the tooth? Because it's done with a tooth. Last time I checked, animals, they bite with their teeth. So why do you say it's a tolda of Keren? It should be a tolda of Shane. What's the answer? You should know the answer before the Gemara. Because it doesn't get pleasure. Maybe it gets psychological twisted pleasure, but not regular physical pleasure. And so the Gemara, Kediva Rabbeinu Peretz, Loi, Shen, Yesh Hano Lezeko. The definition of Shen, the broader definition of Shen is anything that it derives physical pleasure from, such as eating, fun, yeah, good appetite. How? But biting ain't no lezeko. There's no physical, straightforward pleasure to the nezek, and therefore biting is a tolda of Keren. What's Keren? What's the characteristics of Keren? It's doing something out of line, not frano, like lehachis, something crazy. Revitza ubeita, frag the Gemara, crouching and kicking, tolda de regeli. That comes from the foot. Why isn't it told of regel? Because last time I checked, kicking is with the foot. And also revitza, when the animal is rovet, crouches, look at the camels, you see it very clearly, takes a long time, it's done with the foot, right? It has to fold its feet, its knees, its legs, whatever. And says the Gemara, and you know the answer. Regel is a komotsui. The regel, the nezek, is very, very common. As he walks along, it's walking. Walking is the most innocent thing to do in the world. It's not even eating. Eating maybe a diet, but walking is walking. It's done all the time, regularly. Honey, but crouching and kicking, and nezek and motsui. It's not an nezek motsui. Crouching is done every once in a while, but an animal walks much more than it crouches, especially crouching on purpose in the wrong place in order to be machis. That's not so much, not so common, and therefore these are told us of Keren. Frag the Gemara, back to original question. Ela told us then, Lav kayotze ben domer of Pope. Remember, if Pope says that some told us are like the father and some are not. Which told us are not like the father from the list we've seen so far? Ahaya. On which one are you talking about? Ilema ahani. You want to talk about those told us that are the told us of Keren? Why? Why should they be different to the father? Maishna Keren the kavanosoi lehazik. Quoting the Mishnah now, Keren, is the animal doing it on purpose with kavana? Yes. By the way, one of the sources that an animal has nefesh, so Ramban says that, and I heard the whole shiur, animal doesn't have neshama, it has nefesh, it has some kind of will, it has the will to decide. It's angry with him, not angry with her. Like dogs behave, and monkeys, and also bulls, they like certain people more than others. They have their psychological behavior and preferences. It has kavanah. He knows what it's doing, and he means to be mazik. The only thing is, it doesn't have yetzer tov to control it. That's a different one. Yeah. It's your money. And you have the achrayus, the responsibility to guard it. That's the definition, the very broad definition of Keren. Haninami. These two, the told us of Keren, the kicking and the biting and the crouching and this and that, kavanos and lazik, mamon cheshmos and alecha, same thing. They mean to harm, they do it on purpose, they're your money, and you're the shmir as a new, you have the responsibility to guard. If so, what are you talking about? Where have you found that you have a tolda which is not like the father? So far, we haven't found it. So now, you can tick your boxes and see. All the toldas of Keren are just like Keren. They behave exactly the same. Ella, tolda the Keren, Keren, bam, baram, babam, babam, tolda the Keren is like a Keren. They're all the same. You pay half the nezik the first 2 or 3 times, and from then on you pay full nezik. And by the way, does it apply to Rishus Harabim, Rishus Hayochid, everywhere or not? What? It applies everywhere. Why? Shen v'regel, the other two, they only apply in Rishus HaYochid. If my animal went into your domain, into your field in Tennessee, my animal is there and it's doing regel, it's trampling over your, stam innocently, over your fruit, or it's eating your fruit, then I have to pay. But if you put your fruit in the street, and I'm walking with my animal in the street, which I'm supposed to, then I don't have to pay. It says it outright in the Torah. But Keren, your shore is crazy, and let's say it's already 3 times. Who cares whether it's in the street or in my house? What are you talking about? You have to pay in full because your shore's crazy is a crazy guy. And therefore, keep it at home. Put a muzzle, do something, take off his horns. I don't know. By the way, there's a question I thought you would ask, which the Gemara asks a few times. I mentioned it in passing, I must say, I didn't talk about it much. When we spoke about Muad La'odom, how could it be that a show is Muad to gore a person and kill people 3 times? How could that be technically, how's it technically, physically possible? You killed it the first time. Revived different people? Who cares? No, a shor tam is killed the first time. The first tam is a South African shore. Yeah, the first time a tam is nogeach, you kill it. The only difference between tam and mud is regarding payment. half or full. But when it comes to people, goring people, whether it's tam or muad, from the first time you kill it, the payment is the third time. Well, how third time? Didn't you kill it first time already? How can, you revived, reincarnation, Gilgul? Answers the Gemara later on. It's open for discussion. Let's be nice and discuss things. Open your hearts to me. What? You killed? No. How can it be muad for killing? That's my question. It does say there's muad for killing.
He didn't kill him right off.
He was? No.
He can't survive for...
And meanwhile, what happened? And meanwhile?
The short gourd.
Again, you don't even have to say that once you said that. In other words, the short gourd once, he was warned, and he gored twice, warned, 3 times warned, but it wasn't taken to Beis Din. He did it so quickly, there were warnings, but Beis Din only sits tomorrow. Whatever, and Natzala didn't come, and the police didn't come. He gored 3 times with 3, what? No, he died. They died. Even if they did die, I'm chadish more. Even if a person died right away, doesn't make a difference. He was not yet brought into court. Or another case, yes, they didn't kill him yet. Physically, they didn't kill him. You don't get it? Yeah, he killed 3 times before taken to court, to Beis Din. Or let's say he ran, Baruch Agam, it says, the shore ran away every time. He's a smart guy. He gored, ran away, gored, ran away, gored, ran away. He has 3 movies about him, the sequel. Every time the goring shore comes back, and he never manages, and the 3rd time he was taken to Beis Din, the police came, yeah. But these are the cases which we'll see much later. Now, let's continue. Answers the Gemara, continues the Gemara. V'chikam Rav Papa ashen v'regel. Maybe when Rav Papa said what he said, that some told us are not like the father, he spoke about shen v'regel. We know what shen v'regel are. Talmid Chachamim. Shen v'regel heichak sivi. All very nice. We know what they are, but where are they written? It says the Tanya v'shilach ze haregel. Let's open the pasuk in the Torah. Yeah, in the Torah, it says here in Pasuk Dalid, the next Perek, look at Mishpatim, Perek Chav Beis, and it says in Pasuk Dalid. Pasuk Dalid. Do you have it? Chav Beis Dalid. Sorry. Chav Beis Dalid. Ki yav'er ish sode ocherem. Yeah, a man is yav'er. It's very misleading. Because sometimes we think the Yav'er means fire. Yeah? It's not. Yav'er means an animal. Be'iro means his animals, his livestock. A person goes free and lets his animals, the livestock, the bulls, the cows, the sheep, go to someone else's field. My field I want to keep nice and clean. You throw the garbage by the neighbor. He takes his animals and lets them run free, run loose in someone else's sode or Keren, a vineyard. V'shilach his beiro, he sent his beiro there. U'bir bisdei acher. They went, and v'shilach, what does shilach mean? He sent them. He sent them walking. Usually animals are not sent by airmail. Yeah, he didn't send them by email, by WhatsApp. They were walking. U'bir bisdei acher. What's leva'er something? What's biur chometz? Don't tell me burning, please. Also means to get rid of, to consume. Very good, that's a good word. The animal consumed all the produce of the other person. He has to pay with the best, as we said in the Mishnah, the damaging party has to pay with his best field. If you don't have cash and you want to pay him with the field, pay with the best field. You piece of how did you do that? So basically, that's one pasuk that teaches me 2 avos, shen and regel. Ubir bisdei acher, you have shilach esbir, he sent them. Ubir bisdei acher. Let's see. The Tanya, 3rd line from the bottom out of the page. The Tanya, v'shilach ze haregel, as I just told you. V'shilach means by foot, by legs, by feet, by foot. V'chen oimer, and I have a source for that from the Tanakh. We see the word leshaleach, to send right away. Regel, hashor ve'achamor. Yeah, mishaleach, the foot of the bull and the donkey. Ubier zo hashen. Bi'er means with the mouth, to eat. V'chen oimer, as it says, kasher yiva'er hagolol ad tumoi. Like it says, the galal. Galal is the tooth. Just like the galal is mevaer, consumes all the way to the end, eats it all up. Galal is shen. Rashi says, why is galal called shen? Legalot is to cover, to uncover. When do you have to uncover something? When it's covered. Shen is part of our body that is sometimes covered, sometimes uncovered. You don't see the person's heart unless it's a surgery, and you always see the person's nose, especially if it's big. But the tooth, the teeth, is sometimes you see, sometimes you don't. That's what's called megule. It's like a game of, hide and seek. And that's why galal, legalot, is the teeth that you show sometimes. So, hagalal ad tumoy. Omar, okay, I would stop here. Because we're done with the Amud for today. And let's summarize. Quickly. So what do you know now about Keren? So what's the characteristics of Keren? You tell me. What's the special character of Keren? What is Keren? You tell me now, what's Keren? Go ahead, spill the beans. What?
Goring.
No, Keren doesn't mean goring, actually. Keren means horn. What do you do with the horn? We don't have one. But what does the shore do with the horn? Hopefully nothing. But he gores. And the Chiddush is, the Torah told me and the Novi told me that Negicha means with a horn in a natural way. Not only in the mouth, and even though it's natural for the show, it's not that natural and normal, and therefore the first 2 times you only pay half. Very good. Now, what are the derivatives? What are the children of the father called? Keren? Pushing and biting, kicking, crouching. Sounds like a gym. Kick, crouch, do. Yeah. Okay, it's doing gym. So then all these things are considered Keren. The first time we pay half, the second time we pay in full. Now, why did the Torah start with Yigoif and Yigach? The Torah played this game when it described the animal killing another animal. It says that it's Yigoif / Yigach. No, it's both. The combination of both psukim regarding animal killing animal, it starts with Yigoif, and then it says, if he's known to be a Nogach, then so. Mashma, it's Yigoif, Nogach. So it's like pushing with horns. Pushing with horns is also a form of Negicha, and since animals are more susceptible to be killed, and therefore it's halachically different, because if he killed an animal 3 times, of course, then he will not do it to a person. But if he killed a person 3 times, then for sure he'll do it to an animal. Or he injured a person 3 times. If Jeff is saying he didn't kill him, it's also true. Then the animal, he's not scared of an animal. If he's not scared of a person, he's definitely not scared of an animal. Why? Because an animal is more easily killed by a fellow animal than a person. I remember once when we were in South Africa, we were told by the guy that animals usually don't attack people unless they're very, very hungry or threatened. If they don't have a reason, you can stand next to most animals that won't do anything to you. They're not interested in you as food or anything, as long as you don't seem or sound threatening or you're not tasty enough for them, they're not hungry, normal, they won't do anything to you. And that's the story over here. Another animal, they have their own internal politics, they take revenge, territory, stories. So animal versus animal is much more easily killed, and therefore it says there kiyigof, which is a softer way of killing, so to speak. May we only know simchas and atzloch and bracha, and thank you very, very much. See you tomorrow, 9:20, Mirz Hashem, and the shiur will be Mirz Hashem today in YouTube on the website, Bezrat Hashem. Thank you very much, Kol Tuv, have a great day. Thank you.